Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the Project Manager Summit again. We have a very special guest with us today, Sulagno Das Chowdhury. He is a senior business analyst and functional lead at one of the world's leading global retirement insurance companies. He has more than 10 years of experience in IT consulting and project management, and he also has his Bachelor's of Technology, MBA, and now PMP as well. So thank you, Sulagno, for joining us today.
Thanks, Sulagno.
So tell us a little, so in today's talk, we're going to talk about your experience in getting your PMP certification. So just as we're starting, can you tell us what motivated you to obtain your PMP certification?
Yeah, so when I started working as a functional lead, like I was working as a senior business analyst, and then I had to switch gears to work as a functional lead, where I had to manage team of developers, QAs, as well as business analysts. And I was working in close tandem with a senior project manager. She is also a PMP, but she is kind of working as a program manager these days. And she expected me to be involved in project management activities. And since she is already a PMP, and she is working as a project manager, she wanted me to be certified, and she wanted me to understand the language, the nomenclatures that are used in project management, and that can be meaningful to the program management as well. That was one of the primary reasons. Another thing is I have seen other project managers in my past projects and this project also, where I have seen a lot of things which got unnoticed in the initial phase, and those emerged as bigger risks with respect to cost and things like that, and the change control process. So I wanted to learn like how to handle those in a better way. So it was more because of the practical usage of that I wanted to master, or I wanted to learn the art of it.
Okay, so you wanted to get PMP certified so that you can, grow in your career and understand how to manage projects more efficiently, because you've seen a lot of inefficiencies in the work that you were doing.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. And since getting PMP certified, have you noticed any changes in the way that you manage projects and how you do your jobs?
Yes, so definitely, like the way the cost management and the time management that used to happen. So we actually did not quite raise the change requests on time, and that actually resulted in unnecessary escalations from higher management, executive steering committees in the past. So after doing this, my program manager officially declared that I'll be also working as a project lead, like I'll be working on a couple of work streams, but I'll be the acting project manager. I took control of those. And to be honest, since then we have been getting good feedback, to be honest. Like since then, the change process, and with respect to everything, like the cost and the effort, time, with respect to the scope also, we have not received anything negative. And we have, to be honest, received quite good feedback from the executive steering committee. It's not only about me, it's about all the projects, and it's about the program. So, but especially the work streams where I am handling. So she is actually getting good feedbacks, and she's passing on those to me.
So that's awesome. So in your work streams, you were able to establish some standards for cost, time, and schedule. That was then implemented across the entire program, right?
Yes.
And this was based on what you learned from your PMP about how to do things, the PMI way or the standard way of doing things.
Yes. So when I became a PMP, to be honest, the PMP was definitely needed so that people could hear my voice. Like otherwise, maybe you can go to the internet, you can learn the processes, like what are the different ways you can do cost management. But when I earned that certification, people started hearing me. When she could effectively declare me as the project manager for a couple of work streams, people started hearing me. So you need that kind of positional power, if you may say so. So in that, if I may say so, so that's why like that was needed. So it was definitely learning the art of it. So that's why one should definitely go through the books and the study materials, trainings and all. But at the same time, if you have the certification, then you are kind of authorized, if I may say so. So people will listen to you. That's why.
That's awesome to hear that the PMP has really helped you in your career. So now let's talk about, the process that you went through to get certified. Can you just start by telling us, like, when did you start your certification process?
I started my certification process, I think that was in 2015, towards the end of it, like the whole process. So initially I had to earn the PDUs, and then my employer, they had a couple of certification programs from the Employers Academy. I completed those, and once I completed those were from different institutes, registered institutes. When I completed those, and surprisingly, some of those certifications are related to BAs. Like since I was working as a BA, so requirement management, documentation, things like that. One of the certification was managing projects. But once I completed those three certifications, the institute informed me that you have enough PDUs to apply for PMP. And since then, I started thinking that why not this? I know this is a valid certification, and it's also a good way to learn stuff, and also the network within which you can develop and help other people develop too. So I just thought of initiating. Then, to be honest, with due course of time, although I applied, and then with the project works, and I was showing myself a couple of like excuses. So I have too much of workload. I'll do it someday or the other. So when I applied, my date was like June 2016 when I actually completed my applications that got reviewed by the PMI board, and they approved my application. So I effectively had till June 2017 time. So 1 year time to complete my certification. And then I kind of deviated. I did not study. I downloaded, like I had my own copy of PMP book, and then PMBOK, and then I was studying, and then I was getting lost in between, like how to memorize the stuff, because to be honest, I was thinking that I have to memorize the stuffs. That was my first mistake. And then when, like from this 12 months period, like when I completed almost my 6 months or 8 months were getting over, I was getting tensed, more and more tensed. And then finally, so to be honest, like I completed the book once, and then I saw one email that was from you. So that was the changing factor, to be honest. So I obviously had to put a lot of effort, but that the changing factor, the catalyst, was the email from you. That was one evening when I saw there is a free training. And to be honest, I saw a couple of tricks in that video, and that made me very interested in that overall. Like this is how one can also approach the program.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead.
So believe me, that was the changing factor. Obviously, after that, I also put effort. But before that, also I was putting effort, but I was at the same time getting more tensed. Like how to complete this 600 or 900 pages book, and where the questions are purely case study basis, like what should be done, or what should have been done. And at the same time, they expect you to remember the processes, the knowledge areas, and all the ITTUs. Believe me, the ITTUs are very, very scary to me. But then I saw your video. I think that video was like 45 minutes or something. But that approach I really liked. And then I finally enrolled to your course. And to be honest, like I can give you one scenario where I was actually continually postponing my date, So I initially thought I would do it in February. Then I changed it to sometime in April, and then I changed it to May. And remember, my date was in June. My date was getting over on 13 June 2017. And then I saw your video. I then did my re-strategized my all the stuffs and things like that. And for the first time, I preponed the date from May to April. Like after enrolling to your course and after coming up with a new strategy. So I preponed the date from May to April. And I, just to be honest, I cracked it on that day.
That's awesome. So what date? So do you remember what time frame you saw the free training?
I have to search for that email, but I think it will be sometime it should be in March or February or March. Yeah, it was a free training where you just showed like a couple of a sentence, like one sentence, which will actually give you all the knowledge areas. I really like that. Because believe me, I was finding it very, very difficult to remember even the knowledge areas.
Right. So it took you less than a month, basically. So you came around March 2017, and you passed in April 2017. So it took you less than a month after you started this training to finally get certified, right?
After I completed the enrollment, after I completed the enrollment process, I got access to your study materials.
Yeah.
It took me, I guess, not more than 3 weeks. I guess it was 2 weeks. It was
2 weeks to get certified.
Yes.
Wow. And then you were originally thinking you were going to take it in May or June because that's when your application was going to expire. But then you end up taking it in April and you passed.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations, by the way.
Good.
And so from the free training, what was some of the tips that you learned that really helped you?
So from the free training, like where you showed that how to remember the chart, like the basis of PMP is, to be honest, in my experience, what I believe, one has to understand project management, like PMI or PMP certification. If you have never worked, maybe you have never worked as a project manager, but you have seen project managers, you know, like what is going wrong, what should have been done in different ways. One definitely need to have that practical knowledge. But at the same time, when I was preparing, like academic preparation is also important. When I looked at your free training, I saw that for the first time, one can compose, like one can form a sentence, compose a sentence which will help them remember all the knowledge areas. So I still remember, like I saw two cars quickly hit cars rear passenger side. The sentence does not make any sense, but the sentence I think I will remember for the rest of my life. So
That's good to hear.
I did not do any preparation for this discussion with you today. I still remember that sentence. And then you showed, like you can remember the number of process areas, like within the knowledge, each of the knowledge areas, like what are the different processes. Like so in that you showed like probably you can say you can use that as a phone number or something. So I believe me, I actually did. So I believe there are like 6 process areas within that particular knowledge group, like integration or something. So I actually saved it as a 10-digit phone number in my mobile phone. And believe me, in USA, that's a Maryland number. I called that guy, called quite some time, obviously before he could pick up. But I saved it as a phone number, and eventually I could remember that phone number.
Wow.
So once you get into the examination room, you can quickly get a brain dump, and that's absolutely allowed. And the brain dump, although it's your brain dump only, you're not copying it from the book, you're not copying it from anyone, but with due course of time of the exam, like in 4 hours, after you answer 100 questions or 120 questions, you are more probably getting more tensed. You will not be able to take that brain dump on the piece of paper. But at the very beginning, when you are fresh, your brain is absolutely like it's not like busy with the PMP exam. You can take a brain dump, and your approach actually helped me to memorize the brain dump. That first page or the chart. The chart, I believe, is the heart of the entire course. Like one has to understand the chart, and then one obviously has to utilize his or her like project management experience and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. I love your story of how you actually saved the phone number on your phone and looked at it every day and actually tried to call it. Just out of curiosity, did it actually go to a real number or was it a fake number?
It was a real number, like it was a number in Maryland, US. I obviously it did not ring, but when you can see that the number is a Maryland number.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, for anyone listening, if you want to sign up for the free course, is examspm.com-free to sign up for the free course. So now going back to your study plan. So once you sign up for the course, what was your study plan? Like, what did you do on day-to-day basis that allowed you to pass in 2 weeks or so since you signed up?
So since I already completed like reading the book, and after reading the book, to be honest, I could hardly remember like 20 or 30% of it. And every time I used to get very scared. I also took a couple of mock exams on the internet before enrolling to your course. But once I enrolled to your course, I watched all the videos. To be honest, like I watched all the videos religiously. I had office. I I was it was late night for me. It used to be late night for me those 2 weeks, because I did put a lot of effort only for those 2 weeks. But one can plan it in a much better way. I spent like a lot of I burned a lot of midnight oil, to be honest. But I watched all the videos, and once I am done with like the videos for the first time, or maybe after a chapter. So in the chapter, after chapters also you have questions. So I tried to answer those questions, and then after one chapter is over, I used to, or one particular knowledge area, to be honest, is over, then I used to take at least one of the mock exams. Since I already completed reading the book, so I tried with the mock exams, like full-time mock exams. So I used to spend a lot of time. But say for example, I have completed just integration management, and I immediately used to jump to the full mock test. And then I could compare myself, like with respect to at least integration management, how did I fare? Like maybe other process areas, I'm still at a weaker position. So that actually helped me, and I was trying to complete like maybe 3 knowledge areas in 2 days. That was kind of really crazy, but I used to do that. But believe me, like once I'm kind of done with not even all the 10 knowledge areas, like maybe 5, 6 major knowledge areas, and you have to strategize. You can probably find out like how many probably the questions that may come from a particular knowledge area. Those are the strategies like one can kind of formula, because you know the weightage, like every process has certain weightage, and within the processes you know like how many process groups within that particular knowledge area. So time, scope, cost, these are very major, like major sections. And maybe monitoring and control or execution, these are very major process groups. So probably you can prepare, put more effort on these particular areas, and if you fare well in these particular areas, probably it is kind of an assured pass. On the other hand, if you're putting a lot of effort on areas where maybe one of the process area where integration management, like not integration management, the project initiation, you have hardly 2 knowledge areas that are like intercepting with that. So maybe you can still kind of, and that does not have a lot of weightage also, you can still like just a 1 round of read or 2 rounds of read is still fine. But when the knowledge areas, at least based on my calculation, what I found, like these are the major knowledge areas, I used to watch the videos repeatedly. So to be honest, like after a week, so I preponed the exam only in the second week, like when I kind of found out that now I'm at a better position. So after 7, 8 days, I realized like I'm at a much better position, and the basic factor that changed within myself was the confidence, and that was thanks to exams PM.
That's awesome. So I think you touch on a really important part there, and that's confidence, right? I think that, what you think mentally as you're going into the exam, like believing that you're going to pass is almost like an indicator that you will pass as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to your study plan. So I know you did a lot. You did 3 knowledge areas in a day. And you also worked a full-time job. So how did you balance the two?
Sorry, can you please come in? Sorry.
Yeah. So I was saying, you also worked a full-time job as you were studying, right? So you didn't take time off work while you were studying. So how did you balance doing your day-to-day job with studying, with a very aggressive study schedule?
So I just have to tell myself that if I have to do it, I have to do it. So I used to study late night, quite late night, and that was very less sleep during those 2 weeks. And during the lunch hour, even in office, I used to take your mock exams. Like I obviously could not attend the trainings then in the office, but even in cafeteria, I used to take at least the sectional mock exams and things like that. I used to do that too. So I even try to I normally used to have lunch with my colleagues, but those 2 weeks I was having it alone, maybe in a meeting room, not even in cafeteria, and I used to take the mock exams as well. And in late night, I used to be awake. Like I was putting a lot of effort during those 2 weeks, and that is nothing like extraordinary I did. I had to do it because I completely ruined the rest of it. Like the 9 months I did not study, or I studied but I did not follow a proper process. So when I realized that there is a better way to do it, I wanted to do it. So
that's amazing. So during the 2 weeks that you were studying, so I assume you came back home around 5. So did you study all the way till 12 p.m.? Like how many hours did you study per night?
At least 6 hours.
6 hours per night. Wow, that's a lot. So wow, that's a lot of effort that you put into it. But it's amazing that you were able to get certified so quickly. So thanks for sharing your study plan with us. What other tips and tricks helped you along the way? So we mentioned things that you learned in the free videos, but along your journey as you were getting certified in those 2 weeks, was there any other tips and tricks that you picked up?
To be honest, in your free video, like the way it is shown, like the PMIP exam can be approached in a very different way. That changed the thing. So then I started following a lot of steps which I really cannot remember today. But when I saw the free video, I realized like this is how one can also remember the stuffs. So I was trying to memorize that whole graph, like the tabular structure. But then I had to develop a lot of, like say for example, all the plannings that belong to one particular process group. So that is an easier way to remember the steps. Only 2 process groups, only 2 knowledge areas. Like there are 2 process groups that have only 2 knowledge areas intercepting, say initiation and closure. So these things, some of these things are mentioned in your free video, and some of the things were mentioned in your training also. But the thing that changed was, like, once I enrolled to your program, or even after watching the video, that there are different ways you can come up with your own ways. PMP or PMI is nothing. PMP, like PMBOK, is nothing that you need to mug up. You need to understand the concept, and in order to reduce the amount of information that you need to memorize, you have to assimilate it. You can come up with your own strategies. So these are the things, like, okay, so I know all the plans are here, like all the monitoring and controls are here. So things like that, which I eventually developed during that time. So I really do not remember all those, but when I watched your free video, I understood, like, I can come up with my own approach. So there is no hard and fast thing, and that's what you also mentioned in that free trial video. So I had to come up with my own approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main part that some candidates really get caught up in is like, how do I remember all the ITTOs? How do I remember the PMP process chart? When those things aren't the most important parts, like the most important part is understanding how to manage a project. And that's why those charts exist, is to aid you in becoming a better project manager and understanding how to manage these projects. So the main point of the PMP exam is to understand, not to, meticulously memorize like all the ITTOs or, the process charts and so forth. So I think that's a very important point that you raised.
Yes. And in the training also, like when I enrolled to the training, you actually mentioned a lot of stuff. So say, for example, if I have one particular process area, and then so in the initiation or even in the planning, so once you are done with your planning, then the outputs from the planning, only some of those or all of those feed to the input of the next phase. So if you are coming, say for example, I'm coming with a project charter, maybe then I can remember, like, the project charter can be an input to the project plan, say for example. So until unless the project charter is developed, so if the project charter is in the initiation phase, the plan can be in the planning phase, but the charter can be an input. So once I remember what are the intersects, like what are the different process and knowledge areas where they are overlapping, then if I move from left to right, I know, like, these are the outputs from my left blocks, and this can only fit to my right block. So nothing from the right can fit to the left. And there are, like, when I was talking about, like, my own strategy, I realized, like, cost can be a variable, or cost can be a derivative of time, scope, and things like that. So when I talked about cost, so cost process that has inputs mostly from the scope, mostly from the estimates, mostly from the time estimate or effort estimate. So these are the logical things that you start developing when someone attains a good professional training, rather than just going through the book. Because the book is really good, but the book is, to be honest, I believe, like, I have an average level of understanding. So for people like me, the book was not the 100%. So I needed a guide, and the course that is offered by you, that helped me as that guide.
Thank you for saying that. That's so kind of you. And also, yeah, what you say is something that I hear all the time, where people just say that, they read the PMBOK so many times and they just don't understand anything they're reading because it's written in a very dry way. And I think if someone just dissects the PMBOK and then use everyday language to communicate the ideas of how to manage projects, it would make a lot more sense. And it's actually, that book is actually very well written once you understand it, because there's so much golden nuggets in it about how to manage projects very efficiently. So I think that's another really good point that you bring up. Just in terms of study materials that you use, obviously you used our course, our PMP certification course at Exams PM. Was there any other study material that helped you?
No. So I read the PMBOK and I attended all your trainings. That's it.
Wow.
Nothing else. Yes, I read books from other authors, the famous books, but I did not really want to confuse my brain that much. I really did not have time, and all the books are written in different ways. And when I attended your training, somehow, like, different brains work in, like, different people, the brains work in different ways. For me, I think audiovisual makes more sense to me. So a book like PMBOK, as you said, it's kind of dry, a lot of information, but it's dry. And then I saw another book which has a lot of graphical information. Even that also did not help me, because the book was not interacting with me. So I was not only learning through my eyes, but I was also learning through my ears when I was watching your videos.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well, that you need to know your learning style. So do you learn better by listening, or do you learn better by visually, like seeing charts and such, to determine what kind of study material is best for you? And on top of that, just if for anyone listening, you can get a free copy of the PMBOK when you register yourself as a PMI member. So I strongly suggest that you do that for your first year, because you're going to save $20 overall on your entire application, as well as get a free copy of the PMBOK. So it's really a no-brainer to become a PMI member for your first year at least. One more question for you. So if you were to do this whole thing all over again, if you weren't certified today, but you know everything that you know today, what would you have done differently to get certified?
I would enroll to your course much earlier. So what I would do, now I know that, like what I would do, I would probably go through the book once, and then rather than struggling with the book and the chapters and the knowledge areas, I would enroll to a course, something like a smart course like yours, and then I would complete the course. So as I was saying, I was spending more than 6 hours every night. I spent a lot of like burned a lot of midnight oil and things like. I did not have to do all that. If I would come to know about the courses like the one that is offered by your institute, then I would do that like more streamlined way, so I could sleep well and I could also pass at the same time. So that's what I would definitely do. So I would probably go through the book once, then I would enroll to your course, and I would go through all the videos, like watch all the videos, start taking the mock exams. If I'm not doing well, then I would go through the videos once again. And I believe like there are also like overall support from your institutes in case there are like clarifications are needed or anything, one can reach out to you. So to be honest, I really did not get time for to all do all that. But so that is why like I'm saying like I would probably try to do it much earlier so that I could streamline the whole process. I really did it in a very wrong way. I kind of wasted 6 7 months, then I got scared, and then somehow got sent. I saw your video and immediately enrolled to your course, and then I spent like 2 weeks sleepless, and then I passed it. But that's not the best way to do it. So if you plan well, if you search for the better institutes, and like if you can see like what the different approaches, and then one can decide like what kind of training is required. You can also see like people can see the feedback over internet, and even but today by reaching out to people even over LinkedIn or other professional network to get an honest feedback. To me, your course really changed my approach to PMP. Otherwise, believe me, I used to be very tensed. I used to be very tensed with this particular exam.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so happy to hear like everything that you say, and congratulations again. I'm so happy to hear that you passed and you found the course very, very helpful. You know, that's why, you know, we're in business and we exist, right? So thank you so much for saying that. Just before we wrap up this interview, do you have any other tips for anyone listening, either around PMP or about the getting into project management or succeeding in their careers as project managers?
So what I have seen, like in my experience, people who are qualified project management professionals or who are like getting into the project management profession, even as a project manager, although maybe they are not PMP certified today, they are planning to do it. If you believe like with respect to project management, some things which are not as part the best practices of PMBOK or the best guidelines or something which is kind of should have been done, which you believe it's logical, because even the exams are also like the questions that I got in the actual exam also, what should have been done or what should be done. So there are a lot of ways, like the options are really close, and in real life also the options are really close, but there is only one correct option. Even if you think that the correct option is not being implemented by the program management, by the executives or things like that, I believe, like from my professional experience, there is no harm. Like if you believe that is a logical solution, that is the solution, you should speak out and you should try to implement it. It's not like being argumentative, but even in the exam, out of the 4 close options, you have only one correct option. Similarly, in real life, of all the close options, you have actually one correct option. People normally tend to avoid that, kind of because of the organizational structures, or even they do not want to educate their program management. Not that the program management is a cocoon or a closed loop always. People also are afraid of the changes. But the PMBOK, although the course kind of appears to be a stagnant theoretical course, but believe me, the course is actually a very dynamic course. And the overall book also talks about a lot of change control and how to do the change management. one should come up with that one best solution, even if you are not a PMP certified project manager, and you should have a discussion rather than just following the prototype or the protocol, like whatever has been is in practice for past decades or something. There is no harm in proposing that to the executives. You do not know, like you could be the next thought leader in that.
Wow, that's really good advice. Thank you so much for your time. I think you hit on so many good points there. For your PMP exam, you have 4 answers, and in a situational question, in real life, technically you can do any of those 4 answers, but there is one right answer. So you really need to understand something called PMIism. So the PMI way of doing things before you go into your exam. That's awesome point. And same within real life. Like if you hear something that you don't like, you have to speak up and use your voice to change the project for better. So really good points. Thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations again. I'm just so happy to hear about your success story, and I'm so happy for you, and then wish you the best in all your professional endeavors.
Thank you so much. You have a very good day, rest of day, and your course was really helpful. I'm really grateful to you and the course, the structure and everything. It really changed my approach, and kind of I used to get so tensed. It really changed my outlook to the project management. I really thank you a lot.
Amazing. Thank you, and talk soon.
Yeah. Bye.